Egocentric narcissist Donald Trump was reportedly stunned to learn how unpopular he really is based on new polling. Let's take a look. Newsweek reports Trump continues to have a low favorability score among Americans, according to new polling. An ABC News Ipsos survey found that 29%, that's right, that's a 2 followed by a 9, 29% have a favorable view of the former president, compared to 59% who view him unfavorably. Trump's popularity has remained largely unchanged since last summer. The rating did dip at one point to 25%. Meanwhile, the same, and this, we'll talk about this too, the same poll finds Biden is also unpopular, although his unfavorability rating is slightly lower. 33% view Biden positively versus 54% who view him unfavorably. And that's something I want to talk about in detail. There are people who will see this poll, who will hear me talking about this, who will say, oh, what about Biden? Biden's also not super popular, and he's currently the president. Well, there's a couple different things that are important to mention here. The big story that we're hearing from many on the right and some on the left is Trump will easily win. Well, if we look at the polling I told you about yesterday, Biden's leading a number of new polls, not all of them, but the idea that it's obvious that Trump is going to win is not borne out by the new electoral polling that we see. We now have favorability polling. Biden's doing better than Trump. So again, it's not delightfully high numbers. We have a hyper-partisan world in which it's hard to get any significant favorability at this point in time, but it's certainly not obvious that Trump's going to win from looking at the favorability numbers. When you hear the story, Biden has no shot, Trump's going to win, and you say, well, Biden's more popular. Not by much, but Biden's more popular. He already won in 2020, and so Trump needs to overcome not only the starting point, which was he already lost in 2020, he is now less popular than Biden. Now, nothing is a guarantee, but the obviously he can't win story is simply not based in any empirical fact. But let's add another aspect to this. When you are the president, you have a number of additional paths to unfavorability. And oftentimes, when your presidency is more in the past, like, for example, George W. Bush, Bush, by the standards of 20 years ago, was not a popular president, and he left office with a then low approval rating. Since then, because he's painting pictures and painting paintings, I guess we would say, painting portraits and saying he's not big on Trump and whatever, we've sort of forgotten about the atrocities of George W. Bush, some of us have, and his favorability has gone up. It is always harder to maintain favorability when you are currently the president, because anything that goes wrong, anything people don't like, gets pinned on you. And on the other hand, former presidents often enjoy growing favorability. So that's also important, which is even with Biden as the current president, blamable for everything, he still is more favorably seen than Trump, who's now been out of office for nearly 4 years. So is there any guarantee here? Of course not. We all need to vote. Nothing is assumed. Nothing is taken for granted. But if your argument is the voting polls show Trump obviously will win, they don't. And if your argument is the favorability polls show Trump will obviously win, that also is not the case. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Biden clinching, Trump clinching, favorability. I want to hear from you. info@davidpakman.com. We'll take a quick break. We will look at these hearings, explosive hearings that took place yesterday with Robert Hur after this very short break.